Hello, good evening, good morning, depending upon where you are in the world. We are glad to have you join us for this welcome event. My name is Janet Shanley, and I'm the Director of Graduate Admission at Seattle University, and we're very excited to have you all join us next month. It's incredible that we are already in the middle of December. I'm not quite sure where November went. So time is moving quickly these days, and particularly as we head into the holidays. But glad you took the time out of your schedule to be with us today. We hope that you will leave this event today better informed and reassured as you prepare to start your graduate program. Our group today of panelists represents a cross-section of experiences and programs. Many of our panelists today are members of the Graduate Student Council. And this event is co-sponsored with the Graduate Student Council, so we consider this to be primarily a student-to-student event, so that you're learning from other people who have been doing what you have been doing or what you're preparing to do. So hopefully you will be reassured by their wisdom. So the moderator is the chair and president of our Graduate Student Council. Krishna, do you want to introduce yourself and our panelists who are online here today?
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Janet. My name is Krishna, and I currently lead the Graduate Student Council here at Seattle U. I'm a second-year MBA student, currently live in Seattle, but originally from Hyderabad, India. And along with me, I have my colleagues and members of the Graduate Student Council, starting with Airi Tanaka, who is also an MBA student like me, followed by Natalie Murumbi, who is a MSBA student from the Albert School of Business and Economics. Preeti, followed by Preeti Suryakumar, who is a dual degree MBA and MSBA major. And we also have a fourth panelist who is probably a bit late and is going to join us soon, is Sogol Sedgi from the School of Nursing. So as Janet mentioned, this will be a student-to-student conversation. All of us here, like I mentioned, part of the Graduate Student Council, we're also students here. We've been here for an year or so. The way we'll do it is we have about 5 to 6 questions that I as a moderator will ask the panelists. And the questions are divided into 3 categories. A, registration and class schedule. B, academic and student support. And C, personal. So we'll take about 25 to 30 minutes, just me as a moderator asking the panelists the questions, and then they answer back. And then we'll also have about 10 to 15 minutes for Q&A, which will be a time for you to ask us questions directly. You can either ask us the questions by unmuting yourself and asking me on audio, or you can use the chat to type in your questions there, whatever suits you. So with having said that, I'll start with the questions. I will start with the registration and class schedule as the header, and then we'll move on to the following ones. So coming to the first question, I hear the student planning tool will help me plan my schedule until graduation. How do I access it? Can changes be made later?
Okay, I can take that one. Thank you, Krishna, for the introduction. I look forward to meeting you all in the winter quarter. My name is Natalie. So yeah, student planning is a great tool. You can find it on My Seattle U. What I have done, for example, is that I just bookmark the page. So just My Seattle U, and then you just enter with your username. And then regarding changes, you can definitely make changes if say you decided you were taking 3 classes each quarter, you are welcome to, change it as you see fit. And also, it's also good to talk to your academic advisor. I think that's something that, to keep in mind when you're changing your classes. So.
Thank you, Natalie, for answering that. Moving on to the next question. I have registered, but I currently do not see anything on Canvas for the course yet. When should I expect that to appear?
Yeah, sure, I can take the question. Hi, my name is Irie. Krishna introduced me earlier. So usually around a week prior to the first day of the classes, the Canvas will open up, either on your phone, if you have an app, or you can just log into My Seattle U and look for the classes that you registered. If you don't not see at least a week or maybe 5 or 4 days prior to classes, you can always reach out to your advisor, or if you can find, if you know your professor that will be teaching your classes, then you can always reach out to your professor. You can search professor on the search at the Seattle University website. So you can always reach out. There's always resources. You can reach out when you have questions, but usually about a week or 5, sometimes 4 or 3 days prior, but it will show up on your Canvas. It really depends on the classes. I've had a lot of classes that I had access to Canva like more than a week, some from 1 or 2 days. So yeah, it really depends. But if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to reach out to your professor or your advisors. So yeah.
Thank you, Irie, for answering that. Moving on to academic and student support, and I know a lot of you might have this question in mind, because I'm sure some of you might be going back to university after a while. So here's the question. I'm nervous about writing academic papers because it has been some time since I was in school, or I have never done so in a US university. Is there support for me?
I can take that one. So the college has learning resources which are available department specific and also at the library. So you always have resources available. If you do need help, you can always contact them. There are other graduate students which help out. There are placement centers. There are it's called a learning lab, and you can always reach out to any one of them, and they can tell you the structure, tell you the format, edit anything that is needed. It's a very good resource to have on hand.
Yeah, just backing on that. We have the writing center at the library, and I usually go and ask, especially references or citations. I usually tend to forget MLA because depending on the professors or the classes, they require you to use MLA or APA. So I usually go to the writing center. They'll provide you a lot of resources, how to use citations and how to write academic papers. So I highly recommend you to contact with the writing center at the library.
Thank you, Irie and Preeti. Moving on to the next question. What is the most impactful way to communicate and collaborate with my classmates?
I would say on Canvas, when you have access to your classes, there is a tab called People. So it gives you a list of all the classmates that you potentially registered for that class. You can always go and email them through that list. You do have access via Seattle U to get their Seattle U address. It is already a ready database, so you just have to type in their name and their email address comes up. And we also have created WhatsApp groups or messaging groups separately if you are in a smaller group through knowing the people and having their contacts. You just basically talk to them and get their phone number and create your own little communication group. But email is most reliable. You will have access to OneDrive and SharePoint, which also makes it very easy to share and edit group projects. So have your co-workers or partners, group friends, email addresses. It's always helpful.
Yeah, thank you, Preeti, for that. Moving on to the next question, and this is now under the personal category, and I'm sure a lot of you might have this question in mind, especially domestic students. What resources are there to help me balance the demands of work, life, and school as an incoming graduate student?
I can take some of it. Feel free to add. So there are a lot of, you'll find that SU has a lot of resources to support students. And one that comes to mind right now is CAPS. So CAPS is a counseling service organization that helps students. So if you need, therapy services, I think they offer group sessions as well, if I'm not mistaken. So, you can call them. It's just CAPAS. So you can just type that into the Seattle U website, call them, make an appointment. And another one that you can use as well is teletherapy. Wait, telehealth? What? The one we work on at GS, Timely Care.
Timely care.
Yes, Timely Care. So Timely Care is another one. Like if you need medical assistance, or if you need even sessions as well, because I know CAPS has 10 sessions per academic year, but you can flex it. But then Timely Care has 12 sessions. So you're welcome to use that as well. And also another thing is that your peers can also be your support. Right. It's nice to have people in your class, text them, be like, are you seeing this? What is this assignment? So they can also be very helpful, your professors as well. And yeah, I think that's what I, utilize as a student.
Is there anything you'd like to add, Irie or Preeti?
I think Natalie covered most of it. We do have the advising services that you can reach out. They do advising on classes, registration, academic in general. You can always reach out to them. They have a lot of resources. They're there to help, not just to discuss, but they're there to help you register. And if you have any questions regarding school, you can always reach out to them. So yeah.
And following up with what Natalie said, UREC, which is University Recreation, has a lot of classes. They are free. And then they also have sessions where you are going out to either a hiking spot or they have a lot of planned activities. It is slightly centric towards the undergraduate students. So timing might be an issue, but if you have the time, it is an absolutely wonderful resource, especially because physical wellness should be part of your entire well-being. There is a health and wellness center that does give out lamps. They do seasonal well-being, because this is a stark difference as compared to what you're used to in your home country. So ask around is would be my advice. There are a lot of resources, and you want to.
Yeah, thank you all for sharing your wisdom on that. I noticed that we got a question, but we'll first take the questions that we have as a panelist, and then we'll come to the questions that you have on chat. But we will address that towards the end. Moving on to the next question, should I be planning to drive to campus or taking public transportation? Where do I find out more about both? Is transit subsidized?
Yeah, so I drive to campus. I live about 10 miles away. I do have a car, so it's easy for me. I have spoken to my other classmates and done carpools. There are buses which connect to the campus. There is a train station close by. You do get, so the Metro card, or the card that you use for public transport, is called an ORCA card, and it is subsidized for students. You will have access to that through, I think, the financial service. I'm not sure where you would get it, but it is subsidized. There are 3 parking lots on campus. You will have to go through paid services and pay for parking. Otherwise, off close to campus on the streets, it's 2-hour parking free, and then after 6 o'clock, it's free. So there are resources to drive down. There's always Uber. Carpool is the
Okay, can I request the participants to go on mute if possible? Thank you, Preeti, for answering that question. Just adding on to Preeti, so in terms of transit being subsidized, so with the ORCA card, which is basically a Washington State pass for public transit, if you put in a payment of $99, the university pays half of it. So it is the transit technically is 50% is 50% subsidized, because you would pay 49% of the $99, $49.5 out of the $99 bill. So that's how it is subsidized. Moving on to the next question, and this is something that I will request all 3 of the panelists to answer. We can start with either one and then go around. What is something you wish you knew from the beginning you can share with new students? Example, faculty hours are important, or anything personal, anything that you'd like to share with the new students that you feel you knew before you came here.
Well, I can go first. As a part of GSC member, prior to coming to Seattle U, I didn't know about GSC, to be honest. We do have Graduate Student Council. I've always thought the student government was really undergraduate focused, but we do have council at graduate level. I wish I knew that. So whenever I have any questions or concerns, I wish I had someone to go to outside of academic. I've always had access to advisors and resources the university offers for the academic, but whenever I have some questions about regarding classes or regarding anything, I learned that GSC is there to help and advocate whatever you have as a voice. So I wish I knew the GSC existed. We try to increase our existent visibility among graduate students. So we're here to help. So yeah, I wish I knew GSC, and also the student lounge. I've always trying to look for places to study in the library or Pega building where I usually have classes. And I've always struggled to find rooms and space to study. But yeah, if I knew the student lounge existed, I would have used it from day one. So yeah.
I feel like I was so academically oriented and so focused on studies only that I missed out on other aspects of what the college has to offer. I know if you are living far away, getting to campus and attending events around campus can be slightly tricky, but there are a lot of outside classes at events that happen, and it's really fun to build network that way. So I I, I would recommend living close by, but I understand financially it can be burdensome, or I would just say yes, find a job, yes, focus on studies, but there is a lot more to that on campus to have a wholesome experience as a grad student.
I don't know. I think I'm going to be biased because I kind of knew some of the things to expect, because I went to SU as an undergrad. But I would say one thing, I knew the classes were long, but they are long, okay? You sit in the class and you're just like, when is 8:40 gonna be here? They're just so long. So anyway, just be prepared for that. And just like finishing class late, I think, even still today, like I just still have a hard time sometimes. So the classes are really long, and if you need water to get through the classes, please bring it, and it's so fast, it's really fast paced. So you really have to be on top of it, right, with your classes and stuff. Like, don't wait until midterms, even though I do it still, don't wait until, midterms are around the corner and you're like, oh my God, I need to catch up. Like, if you can, just after the class or the day after, just revise your material, because the way things pile up at midterms, you can see in people's faces what's going on. You don't need anyone to tell you. So that's something that I can just say.
Yeah, thank you, Natalie, Preeti, and Irie for answering that. I think all three of you had have really good advice there. Just one point I wanted to make. The lounge that Irie was referring to is called the Graduate Student Lounge, also known as the GAL, and it is located in Senegal Building in SINE 120. So that is a space that is exclusive for grad students, and currently has about 4 meeting rooms and can seat about 15 to 20 people on sofas. There's also coffee and stuff like that. And it is also a nice place to just come together, in your free time between 9 to 6 and mingle with other grad students. So this could be a way where, you kind of softly build your network or organically build your social circle in Seattle U. And also just touching on to another point that Preeti made about being closer. That is obviously a personal decision, where you choose to stay. But there are a lot of events and things that keep happening on campus, and these are nice ways to just de-stress yourself and make sure that you're doing a lot more on campus than just get a degree, because a lot happens on campus. Just over the last 1 year, we've had the governor of Washington, we've had a lot of executive speaker series, so you can learn a lot from these people coming in and just learning from them. So that brings an end to our panel moderated discussion. Thank you again, Natalie, Preeti, and Irie. But as I said before, we will have time to take questions from you. Either you can post your questions on the chat, or you can just unmute yourself and use the audio. But since we've already had 2 questions, I'll start with the first one from David and then take the one from Alina. Starting with the first one from David. Education at this level of study is quite a scary sacrifice that comes with a heavy financial burden. How do you, as a council, help members navigate this to ease the burden? Do any of you want to answer, or I can also take it if any of you?
I can go. So honestly, you should be prepared for the financial burden because that's what you signed up for. The financial services on campus has financial aid, and they have more resources than Graduate Student Council. Graduate Student Council helps in the sense of promoting professional growth by letting you go for reimbursing you for a conference, or they might have some emergency funds, or if there is something related to the graduate well-being, we can support you to some extent. But as a council, we don't get involved in tuition reimbursement or living costs or any other costs specifically. It is catered to a huge graduate student population in general, so it becomes really hard to support one person and not the other. So to leave out the bias, we support and help as much as we can, but we are also, as a council, we are also limited with financial resources.
Yeah, thank you for that, Preeti. If the question was also directed from a personal angle, I will say that I think one of the ways that you can deal with financial burden is just understanding and reducing your expenditure. If you're spending something on a weekend or doing something else, then how do you reduce that, or just understanding your spending patterns, I think goes a long way in easing that burden. And there are a few scholarships available, but that is more a department level decision. It is not something at a GSC level. So if you're from the College of Education, there could be College of Education specific scholarships or ALBA specific scholarships that could help ease the burden a little bit. Yeah. Moving on to the next question from Alina.
I would like
I'm
to.
grateful. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Natalie.
Okay, I was gonna say, yeah, we might not be able to help with finances, but if you talk to someone one-on-one also, they might give you some tips, right? For example, one that I can think of right now is that, even when the scholarships at school come out, because they are so limited, I would encourage you to also look for scholarships outside of the university. So like, smaller organizations or organizations that help sponsor it, like help with scholarships. So, like maybe do more of that, or meal prep. Meal prep saved me so much money. So, meal prep if you can. And yeah, just maybe talk to people and see how they do it too. And yeah, you'll be surprised with what people know. So again, use your peers, make those connections like Preeti said.
I think SU also offers not SU specifically, but they have access to student scholarship universe, I think is the website. I can pass that on. That gives you a whole list of scholarships available outside school, and whether you're eligible or not, depending on multiple factors. That's a good resource to go through and just filter out what you need and see if you can apply and qualify for it.
Thank you, Natalie and Preeti. Just moving on to the next question. I'm grateful my winter classes are weekdays, but I'm scared about having the super long weekend classes. Any tips for staying engaged, surviving the Saturday classes in particular?
So, I can take this. I don't know if it's helpful, but I've done this. I took my first quarter, I took a Saturday class, which was 7 hours long on Saturday, and I was really scared that on Saturday, I don't know how am I going to survive this class, but making friends, and luckily, I don't know which program you are in, but I'm in PMBA, and I took leading with emotional intelligence class, and which was 7 hours, but it went by so quick. It was very interesting. I'm not gonna talk about the class itself, but what I'm want to say is that make friends, or just connect with your colleagues, connect with your teammates, connect with people that are in your class. That kind of motivated me to keep coming and spend 7 hours, because I feel like I spent a lot of time with them every Saturday for 7 hours. It seems long but short. So yeah, just be connected with your teammates or classmates to keep you motivated. Luckily for me, the class itself was very motivating and very engaging. It was a very interesting experience for me. So, but if you think it's not what you're going to experience, then just connect it with your teammates, and also talk with the professors if you have any questions, and if you have any concerns, professors are always there to help. So yeah, I think that's how I kept myself motivated with my friends, and talking and having a good relationship with everyone in the class.
To add to that, I would also say when you're planning your classes, don't overburden yourself through the week with 3 other classes and then have a long Saturday class. Take your time. It's okay if you graduate 1 quarter after. Don't be in a rush to finish soon. These can get taxing, and give yourself that space to cope with it.
Thank you, Irie and Preeti. I think we have another question. My undergrad background is from finance, and at Seattle University, I'm going to pursue MS in finance. So my question is, how the research activities at Seattle U will help me achieve an outstanding professional career?
Can
Um,
you
I,
explain that further? Sorry, I didn't quite get the question.
yeah. So the student has a finance background and is choosing to pursue MS in finance. And they want to know how the research activities at Seattle U will help them achieve an outstanding professional career.
Wait, could you please like expand on what research activities mean? I think that's where we're like being stuck.
I think the question is from Shakib Hussain. Do you want to unmute yourself and expand on the question?
Hello everyone. My question is regarding that research facility. Actually, as at the time of my application, I found out for MS in Finance or some other graduate degrees, they provide or they do some or operate some research activities through 3 platforms. So my question is that if I get myself involved into those kind of research activities during my graduation at Seattle University, then how will it help me to build a good professional career? That's what my question was. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for expanding on that, Shakib. Um, I think, just anything that suits your professional and personal goals. If you see that there is a channel to pursue that, and there is a way you could do that, either speaking to a professor, and you could be their RA, which is called a research assistant. And if there is a line in finance where you feel that this is something I like and I want to do, you could speak to the professor who's good in that particular domain, and they could make you do a research paper or make you expand skills in that domain. Outside of that, for finance, I know that there is also something called the Red Hawk Fund, which basically is a portfolio management of Red Hawk investments, and they do open up certain opportunities for students to be a portfolio manager or just an investment person working on that fund. I don't think they currently pay, but it is just a good experience to have on campus. So that would be my line of thought. I think working with professors, there's a lot of activities in Albers that are focused from a finance perspective. There's always guest series. There's always some visiting professor coming in and talking about certain areas in finance. All of these, I think, will contribute to your larger professional growth. Just putting yourself out there and making sure that you go to these spaces will help you grow. Anything
Thank
you
you
want
so
to
much.
add?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. That was,
Oh, go ahead.
I said thank you, Jay. I said thank you about what he has just explained.
Okay.
How will it boost up my career,
Okay.
and how will it create an impact
Okay.
in my master's degree?
So
Thank
I think that's something I wanted to touch on. Thank you, Krishna.
Okay,
I
sure. Thank you.
a great example. Yeah. I think you gave a great example because I know with like research, like you said, you have to apply. It's like, it's either a fellowship or, Jeffrey, I think I know in Albers, right? Like Jeffrey is the assistant dean. He will send out an email with like all the professors that are looking for RAs. So if you see like a finance professor, you can apply. But then regarding your career, I think with like most of the research RA positions, you're also learning soft skills. And these soft skills are going to help you, as you like interview, for example, for a finance position, right? You can put that experience on your resume as well. And usually employers are going to want to ask you, so, maybe tell me more about this experience. And then you can explain what you did, which I think is, very commendable. Like if you did for example, if you're to do the Red Hawk Fund, right? And then you have an interview with like, say, JP Morgan, you can talk about that. You can talk about that experience, what you learned. You learned leadership skills, for example. You learned, communication skills and how you did that. So I think it's how you sell yourself, and also it's also how you can also ask your professor, right? Like, oh, hey, I'm applying for this position and I want to use what we learned in the research, as an RA, can you help me? And they can also help you, communicate that. Because sometimes I know when you have a job, it can be hard to like clearly explain what you did. So, you can always talk to the professor and be like, hey, I have an interview, but I really want to share my experience that we had together, and they can help you out. So yeah, definitely put it on your resume.
Thank you.
Thank you, Natalie. That was really helpful. Just adding on to, I know Janet mentioned a point there about the mentorship program on the chat. So I just wanted to say that the mentorship program is something which is Albers B-School specific, and they have a mentor program that runs from fall till the end of the academic year in June. And how it works is usually they tag a mentor with 2 or 3 mentees, and that's how it works. So moving on to the next question from Rupal. How is job opportunities after completing MSF if someone comes from law and compliance background in the past? yeah, does anybody want to take that?
I can take it. I'm really passionate about jobs and like people finding jobs. So I'll take that one. But I think what I'm going to say is that for this, you know, every skill, right? Like your law background is transferable, right, to finance. You know, finance, I did accounting, but I know that it's very closely related to finance. I know that, you know, like most of the soft skills again are transferable, right? So it's again how you put that down in your resume. And also, since you're in MSF, I would recommend, you know, visiting the Albers Placement Center and also talking to Justin to see how you can, you know, sell those skills or like match those skills to the jobs you'll be applying for. So for this one specifically, I would say it's going to be very important to be also proactive. So, you know, that means getting internships before you graduate, because like waiting until you finish your or you're almost done with your degree and then starting to look, I think that can be difficult. So maybe, you know, as you start, I mean, maybe not right now, I don't know, but maybe give yourself like a few quarters and then start looking for, you know, finance internships. I'm sure like if you go on Handshake, there's like a lot of opportunities right now. But I think I must, wait, RuPaul, are you an international student? Okay, I'm gonna assume yes, maybe. Yeah, okay. So you have CPT, like 3 credits of CPT, but you can only use those after 3 quarters, right? If I'm not mistaken, after 3 quarters. So definitely like start applying for jobs. So in your case, maybe you would be doing an internship in the summer. So like summer, right? Yeah. So you could start applying for jobs right now if you wanted to, just to get that experience going. But I really think like, you know, the most important thing is going to be setting yourself up, you know, with like internships, and then using those internships to get your full-time offer. Or, you know, your company that hires you as an intern might just hire you full-time and you don't have to worry about it. So yeah, definitely use your resources in Albers. Talk to Justin and, you know, start applying. So yeah, thank you, Troy, for adding that to the chat.
To add to what Natalie also said, internships can get very stressful. It is far and few. So if you know the direction you're going in, you can channelize your energy onto saying, okay, this is where I want to be, this is where I'm going to look for an internship. If you want to enhance or support what you have with your law and compliance background, the MBA classes also have risk management, quality assurance classes. So you can add to where you want to take it and your background, and just create a stronger profile for yourself with multiple other things, and give yourself a niche or give yourself the edge over just having an MS in finance.
Thank you, Natalie and Preeti. In the interest of time, since we have about 11 minutes left for the meeting, and we'll have 5 minutes in the end for Janet to wrap up, we can probably take 1 or 2 more questions at best. So we have one more question coming in from David, and it says something about, mention something around on-campus employment for international students. And I also got a question on my DM, and the question says, where can we check openings on professors looking for an intern? I think both of these can be clubbed together in terms of on-campus employment for international students.
Yeah, for definitely for on-campus job, you I don't know if you know the website, but just go check it out. Handshake. There's a lot of on-campus opportunity from graduate student coordinator to part-time, sometimes internship as well. So make sure you check out Handshake. I usually do on a weekly basis, not just to look for on-campus job, but also full-time and internship as well. So yeah, I highly recommend you utilize using Handshake. Or just talk to colleagues or classmates or even professors if there is an opportunity like, hey, I'm looking for an internship or this opportunity. Do you happen to know anyone? Connecting with people around campus is really, really important. You never know how you get your first on-campus job. That's how I got my first campus job. I was in class and I was talking to my classmate, and she was looking for a graduate student coordinator. And I just showed my interest, and that's how I got a job without going through Handshake. I would recommend you use Handshake, but also making connections around in and out of campus is very, very important.
Yeah, to add to what Irie said, a lot of the students are like you start with one cohort, but then you end up taking classes with somebody who's almost close to finishing. So when they are ready to graduate, their positions get open. So instead of going through Handshake and being one of the multiple numbers, you can directly get in touch with the employer or the professor through them. And that way is just talk and see who is doing what and what piques your interest.
Thank you, Irie and Preeti. So we'll take one final question, and probably this is going to be the last one. On accommodation, while searching accommodation, is there any suggestions for us while finding accommodation? And I know, Shweta, thank you. You already put in a few links out there for on-campus and off-campus housing. But if there's anything the three of you want to add on your experience searching for housing, or what are the channels that people generally use to search for houses? And I'm also assuming they also want to know about how do you search for roommates as well.
So there's a group on Facebook. I don't have my phone with me, but then it's like it's specific to Seattle U students. That has like people share, if they're looking for a roommate, and then also, if they already have an apartment, they need a roommate. I think it's called, okay, I'm gonna get my phone and then I'll just type it in the chat, okay? But yeah, you can at Pretty080, you can.
Sorry, I live with my brother and I've never had to look for an apartment, so I don't have any input in this.
Yeah, I can answer that. I'm I would just say on Facebook, just adding on to Natalie, there are groups on related to housing, and if I will email Janet after this meeting about those 2-3 groups. Some of them are all Seattle related, and some of them are country specific. If you're looking for country specific roommates, those are good places where you can see sublets and then people looking for roommates. And I know specifically for Indian international students, there is a WhatsApp group which people use, to find roommates, and then most of them are, I think, looking for homes in and around the campus. I will also send Janet that link once I have it from my teammates. But I think using these channels like Facebook and just talking to people around about where you want to stay is probably the most important thing. Identifying A, where do you want to stay, and B, what is your budget and what kind of roommates are you looking for. These will be the high level thing. Just a reminder that since currently there is a winter break, and in the US sometimes things are closed between Christmas and New Year, I would urge all of you to start looking for housing as soon as possible. If not your full accommodation, at least look for something, temporary where you can land in. Ideally, you should look for something, full accommodation, but if you can't find it, at least look for something where you can temporarily crash in. And making use of all these spaces, your connections and Facebook will be important.
Are you turning it over back to me, Krishna?
Yeah. Thank you,
Okay.
Jan. Yeah.
Thank you,
Over to you, Janet. You have 4
Krishna.
minutes.
Great. That's perfect. Thank you, Krishna, and thank you to the panelists, Natalie, Preeti, and Ari. I am so happy to have you share your wisdom with these folks that are just starting, and you're sensing some of the nervous energy that is coming through, and that's great. It's still energy, right? Even if it's nervous energy. So one of the things I wanted to make you aware that we will follow up with this group with the video. You saw that it was being recorded. So if there was information that you needed to repeat, you will see it there. And that will also, I believe, include the chat. So the links that you see in the chat will be accessible to you from there. And I see Natalie popped in with her Facebook group there that she was referencing. So that'll be part of the chat transcript. So a couple of things that I wanted to just remind you of as we are wrapping up here. One is that there are resources that are available to you outside of this event. There's an online Canvas orientation that you should have been sent that has a variety of resources that are available to you. And as we have learned over the years, that it may be something that you don't necessarily reference from day one, but that you realize about midway through your first quarter that there's something that in that Canvas orientation that is particularly useful for you as you have arrived and are kind of making your way through that initial quarter. That Canvas orientation will be up for you for your first 2 quarters. So that is accessible for your first 6 months or so that you're here. Wanted to piggyback on something Krishna just said at the end there in his remarks, that Seattle U offices will be closed after Thursday the 21st until the 2nd of January. And there is there are resources that are going to be available for emergency situations during that break. There will be an email coming out shortly that will give you more information about how to access some of those resources over the break while offices are closed. So watch for that email to come in the coming days so that you have information about how to get a hold of people should you have some emergency as you arrive in the country, or if you're already here and something comes up while offices are closed. We also have a student support center, which is it's a website, but it's also a location where they have tons of information on that website that you can use at any time. It doesn't expire like our Canvas orientation does. And it has the best email address ever. It's an easy one, and it's at get-answers@seattleu.edu. And you can use that anytime, and it's chock full of information about a lot of things. They will be monitoring that email with the Student Support Center during the break while offices are closed. So if you have a need, you'll be able to email through the Student Support Center. And the last thing I'm going to say, and you heard this kind of implied throughout many of the comments that the panelists made about reaching out to professors or reaching out to classmates or reaching out to others on campus for support. And a place like Seattle U is about relationship building. Your experiences here lend itself to it. The size of the campus lends itself to it. And it helps you make it through the program in a way that feels more fulfilling, but it also helps you after graduation with the colleagues and the network that you build while you're here. So take advantage of that opportunity as much as you can, a place like Seattle U was fueled on those sort of relationships. So take advantage of the opportunities that affords you while you're here. So that's my my pitch here at the end as you prepare. But we're very, very excited to have you join us next month. And please reach out for support as you need it. One last thing is, if you are an international student, you may have already received an email or an invitation to the International Student Center's welcome workshop, which will be on the 2nd of January, the day before classes begin. And it's 10 to 1. I believe that's right, Shweta, that it's a 10 to 1 event on the 2nd. So please mark that on your calendar. If you're an international student, that's an expectation that you would participate in that event. Okay. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us this evening or this morning, wherever you are in the world. And we are delighted that you've taken the time to learn and meet some of these students that you might see on campus when you arrive next month. So thank you, everyone, and enjoy the holiday season ahead.